Let's go back to the Olympics, and I'm delighted to say Emily Hegarty is with us, bronze medalist and an Irish rower. Emily, good morning to you. How are you?
I am not too bad. How are you?
Your feet are back on the ground. Are you back in Skibbereen?
Just about. Yeah, I've been back in Skibbereen the past week now since we were back.
And how has that been?
It's surreal, to be honest. You wouldn't really expect it, like coming home, the amount of people who had set their alarms to the middle of the night and stuff. Like I don't know why. I think we were just so removed, like time zone wise and everything. You just wouldn't realise the amount of people who were supporting back home, and like it's just unreal.
I think anytime you come back from a journey which is, you know, as far away as you were, there's always just a little bit of reacclimatizing, irrespective of the fact that some massive life event has happened. Are you like fully? Have you fully taken in the scale of the achievements that happened when you were in Tokyo just yet?
I think it'll take some time, to be honest. But no, it's exciting, and like it's a good prospect for like younger crews coming up. Like we have some really good, really strong junior and under-23 teams. So I definitely think it gives them good reason to keep going and go for the big one.
What were the celebrations like when you got home?
Oh, like they were really good. Like obviously the small scale because of COVID, like there was anything big was kind of put off. But no, it was really, really nice like to see my family and my friends again, because I hadn't seen them I hadn't seen any of my friends, I'd say, since before Christmas, just because COVID was such a risk at one stage that I was just like, look, if I get it now, I'm out of the game. So I just kind of did avoid seeing like a lot of my friends for a long time. So it was really, really nice to see them again. And like my family as well. Sure, it'd nearly been 2 months by the time I'd seen them again. So no, it's really, really cool.
Actually, I suppose that's one aspect of it that we hadn't really fully considered. That, you know, we did hear some horror stories of people who were getting the ping as the Olympics started, and they'd been identified as a close contact or whatever. So you guys properly had to bubble up for the last period of time.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it was kind of easy as well because we did go to Italy on training camp for 4 weeks beforehand. So we were just with each other. Like there was no contact with the outside world really. So I guess in that respect, it was easy enough for us. But yeah, just kind of the first week or two as well when we were over in Japan, just staying together and, you know, trying to minimize contact with other teams and everything as much as possible.
Have you watched the gold or the medal race back yet, Emily? Is that something you've got around to?
We watched it once, all right, that day. And you wouldn't be too keen to watch it again. Like the first half was a bit slow to get going, but no, we watched it once, all right.
So you don't look back on it as an amazing race performance-wise? Is that what you're saying in terms of not being too keen to watch it?
I wouldn't say it's not amazing.
Right.
I think our second half was very good, but like I think our start was probably a bit slower than usual, but I think we had this mindset with training. We want to be, you know, one of the best even on a day that's not our best performance. So I think that was a good indicator of that. Like we may not have had a brilliant race, and like I think it was hard in the conditions. Like I think a lot of crews struggled, especially the day of our finals. A lot of crews struggled with conditions. So I think we were happy to, you know, get through it without any kind of big mishaps, and just we were happy like we were still able to perform even on maybe not our best day.
Can you explain to us what those conditions do to your boat and to how hard you have to work? Because we were told from thousands of miles away that the aftermath of the storm was really making things tricky.
I think it was just a bit hard because it was usually just a straight crosswind from the left. So like it wasn't necessarily speeding us up or slowing us down, but it was harder for, like, for example, steering, like staying in between the buoy lines and staying in your lane. Like we did, you know, like we would have a bit of trouble, especially off the start, because it was a bit more exposed. So I think, and to be fair, all crews struggled with it the same. Like it wasn't as if it was unfair or anything. It was just, you know, a bit tricky, and it was something to just be mindful of when we were racing, that just be prepared just in case we were to maybe, you know, go on the buoy line or anything.
The start of the race is really interesting, and I think a lot of people who had watched your progress through the games had started to realise that you were a real medal hope in that final. Was that belief something that you needed in order to finish strong in that final?
I think it's something we had in us as a crew anyway. Like I feel like, you know, for example, Europeans, it was a similar race profile. Like we came from behind to get a silver in Europeans this year. So I think, you know, we were always confident that we had the second half, and just to not panic or doubt ourselves, just to, you know, make sure we keep going until the end. Just basically don't let it get to us, and just keep to our plan and keep motoring through. And, you know, it worked, thank God.
And when you were having those conversations in Italy in your pre-games camp, are you talking about medals at that point, or is that totally not in your mind?
I think our focus the whole time was to have our best performance and go out and, you know, not have any regrets about it. So I do think that was always our focus. And I think in the back of our minds, we did know that, you know, if things did go our way, you know, there was always a potential. But you could say that about every boat in our race. You know, every single crew is a class act and have had good results before. So I definitely think, you know, we knew in the back of our minds, if everything went right for us and if everything went our way, there was definitely a possibility. But yeah, no, it was kind of surreal then to actually get it in the end.
You mentioned obviously the COVID compliant scenes at home when you do get down to Skibbereen. How much has the bounce in Skibbereen given to you personally over the last 5 years in particular? How much did the scenes in Rio inspire you?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think particularly with Rio and with the boys' result and getting a medal, and, you know, it was kind of a shock at one stage. But I think it definitely brought home that it's achievable for anyone. And I think, yeah, just kind of feeding off that kind of like the inspiration everyone got from that. I think, you know, the team, you know, the size of the team grew massively. I think people definitely did realize that, you know, it's not out of our reach. Like, you know, any of us, none of us are, you know, special in any way athletically. But it definitely brought home that, you know, it's possible, you know, just with hard work and just don't rule yourself out before you try.
Because there was pictures of Fintan McCarthy at the homecoming in 2016 doing the rounds in the aftermath, and I guess he was one of the new names you became familiar with over the course of the last few weeks. So were you. Were you part of that homecoming? Were you there basking in the glory of having a medal in Skibbereen 5 years ago?
Yeah, I actually was. I had just come back from Junior Worlds with Aoife Casey, who also raced in Rio in the lightweight double. So yeah, no, we were there with Fintan and everyone. So yeah, no, it was class.
Aoife is obviously Dominic's daughter, right?
Yes.
How much of an influence did Dominic have on your progression?
I think, you know, early on, massively in the club. Like, he really teaches, like, hard work is all it is, really, to be honest. Like, it's very much a sport. You get out what you put in. So I definitely think it was a good kind of work ethic you get from the start with him. And, you know, he won't take any excuse or anything. So he was very good that way. He was always just straight to the point. Work hard. If you really work hard, you will achieve it. And I think, you know, it definitely was a massive like work ethic we were taught in Skibbereen. So it's definitely really helped me through progressing through the team now.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it, having an internationally renowned coach like that being available locally all throughout your progression up through the ranks.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's, you know, it's rare really, and like in Ireland you wouldn't see that in every club. So it's definitely we're really lucky to have it.
Emily, when did you guys expect to be making it to the Olympics? Like, when was it realistic in your mind that you were actually going to be able to go?
I think coming into the 2019 season, so that World Championships was where 90% of the boats qualified. So coming into that, we were kind of looking at hoping to qualify a pair and a four. And the pair did qualify. They finished, I think, it was 8th, and they needed a top 11. Whereas we in the 4, because I was in the 4 in 2019 as well, we needed a top 8 and we finished 10th. But I think then all the way through, like coming into 2020 and, you know, even through lockdown and everything, there was always the intention of qualifying the 4. So that was, I think in our mind, we always had to train as if we were going regardless and just keep going. And then it was May before we qualified at the final qualification regatta. There was 2 spots up for grabs, so we got one of those.
You kind of had been aiming for it all the way from 2019, but actually left it until the very last second to qualify.
Yeah, there's only 2 opportunities to qualify. It's only at the World Champs the previous year, and then there's the final qualification regatta in Lucerne, which is usually kind of known as the regatta of death. Like, very few people come out of that regatta happy. So you know, that was where we were lucky that we were on the right side of it in last May.
So you won in May?
Yeah.
Right. That must give the team incredible confidence about our form is right where it needs to be. So some boats would have qualified in 2019. It's a long time ago, different makeup probably in many cases of the women in that boat, in that 4, for example, when they actually get here to 2021. But you guys in May qualify for a race in July, which means that you're in form and you're relatively fit.
Yeah, and I think everyone is kind of, it's a tricky one. Sometimes you do have to kind of almost be informed twice, if that makes sense. Like, just to make sure you actually get there. And then, yeah, come July, then we were just really working towards it. Like, in the back of our minds, these past 2 years, we had to train as if we were going, regardless of whether we made it or not.
So what's next?
What's next? We actually have the national championships next weekend, so I'm back doing a little bit of training for that because I'll be racing for UCC, and then I'll be back in university in Cork in September, and I suppose I'll pick up the training again properly there.
Right, and back to normal life. And then is there
back to normal life?
Is this now your plan for the next 3 years? Is Paris very much on the horizon? Is that same opportunity going to be there for you in a 4, or what happens there?
I guess it kind of depends. You know, people might take a bit of time now, and it depends who will come back and who won't. Like we won't know probably until later on in the year who's thinking of coming back or not. But I think there'll always be a group of girls. Like I do know there is a few that will be starting in September, and like will be starting training again in September. So I do think regardless of who comes back or not, there will be a group of girls there all the time. And, you know, it just kind of depends whether the coaches decide to, okay, this season we'll go for the 4 or the pair, or it kind of is a play by ear sometimes as the year progresses what boats would be an option to target. But hopefully there will be more than likely a big group of girls there, and we will have the same kind of opportunity to field hopefully a few boats.
And on a personal level, are you determined to keep going at this level, or is there a part of you that goes, okay, I've got my Olympic medal, that's great, I'm going to go off and have a normal civilian life now?
I think it's hard when you get a taste for it to kind of bow out, to be honest. Like I plan on hopefully making it to Paris. Like I'll train up for the next years anyway, and if it happens, it happens, and if it doesn't, but no, that's on my mind now anyway, continue on to Paris.
And I guess being on the podium helps in terms of carding with the with Sport Ireland, and just to generally make sure that the funding and the support network that you need is there to get you guys back to Paris in a competitive situation.
Yeah, no, we are really lucky, and the support staff in Sport Ireland are so good to us. So no, we definitely have a good system in place, and that we are quite well looked after. And it's something that, you know, it is hard to walk away from too when there is such good support there and there's such like a massive team of people behind you. It is hard to leave that when, you know, they give you all the opportunity they can. So it's kind of hard to bow out then.
Where's the medal?
The medal is in the kitchen. To be honest, I don't have much control over that. I think my mother's kind of claimed it as her own.
That's the place for it. She can make sure that it gets looked after. Emily, congratulations. Like
Thank you.
I guess you saw with how everybody was watching the fights. You were home for the last week, so you saw the kind of mayhem around Kelly. It was fairly similar when the rowers were out, and particularly like a come from behind victory where you pip one of our greatest rivals is something that the whole country was able to get behind as well. So you have a sense of what it was like. Yeah,
no, it's really exciting, to be fair. Like it's so funny looking back now. Like we did not realise the amount of people supporting us. So no, it was really cool, and like Kelly did unreal, and like it was so good to see. And you know, it's even like it's nice to be able to watch some of it from home too. Just kind of the excitement of getting up early, and yeah, no, it's definitely it's surreal, to be fair. It's kind of hard to believe sometimes.
Well, listen, congratulations, well deserved. Thanks a million for joining us this morning. Cheers.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's Emily Hegarty there, fresh off the boat with her bronze medal. Yeah. Fairly stunning stuff.
Yeah, incredible, and got the ball rolling on that week, because the first weekend I just had a couple of mixed fortunes for Irish competitors, including a couple of boats, let's not forget, as well. And then it was kind of that Tuesday, Wednesday morning when things started to take an upturn, and we're like, oh, hold on, this actually is going to turn out to be an okay games. And those couple of days, that first midweek was really, really successful few days.
And if anybody's missed the race, go back and watch it. Like, there's a bit where you're like, oh, just this isn't going to happen for them, and then it's like, come on.
Yeah.
And then it just does.
And it's Britain.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was the bit. It was, they just pipped the Brits. It's like, wow.
It's one story that we just didn't really cover because we were focused on ourselves quite a lot. But the British rowing drama was exceptional. Like, I mean, the most well-resourced rowing team in the world, just spectacularly blowing up on the water. Ireland matching their medal haul, as far as I'm aware, with a fraction of what they're actually pouring in finance-wise. So that was one hell of a story.
Yeah, maybe we'll go back and do like a full 3-hour special on that sometime. If anybody wants us to do that, you can.
Beef is real.
You can WhatsApp us. 0879 180 180 is the WhatsApp number. Of course, you can leave a comment in the YouTube stream as well.